Hello everybody and welcome back to Pravus Gaming and more Democracy 3 Presidential Suite, playing as Sweden. We're going into, what is it now, Year 7? Yes, Year 7. Wow, we're actually already getting kind of close to the end of the series. Oh, then it's a shame that I took so long to be bold, because in the last video, we completely revamped Sweden's taxation system, welfare next on the chopping block and stuff like that. We moved to a flat income tax. The idea being that this, in conjunction with a heavier earned income tax credit, plus eventually, not right now, but eventually, a basic income is going to be the closest thing we can come to Milton Friedman's idea of a negative income tax with basically a flat tax after that. That's sort of the idea, so we're going to see how well that it works. The idea, of course, of the negative income tax being that you have a certain guaranteed amount of assistance from the government in a lump cash sum based on how far you are below the poverty line, and that this is effectively a replacement for welfare. The idea of the negative income tax is to get rid of welfare. You can afford to give the average citizen a little bit more money than you would have by spending it on welfare, but it's far more efficient. Rather than have like several different departments trying to help someone, you do it all through one system. That was sort of the idea behind something like that, and we're going to see how well it works out for us moving forward. Let's go on. No! Stupid frickin' labor shortage is back! Oh, this is what I get for increasing immigration, isn't it? Sorry, we're restricting immigration, isn't it? Yeah, I did border controls, trying to reduce it because we had a problem with unemployment, and I also wanted to help reduce the black market and drug addiction, but nope. Nope, that was too much. Okay, well, rather than increase immigration again, because it's already kind of high, and I'm worried about hitting unemployment a little too hard, what we could do is probably adjust our work visas again. There you are. And this is particularly effective, I think. If we raise it about, let's just say to an even 400 million crowns, this will directly impact the labor shortage by about 7%, and also reduce wages ever so slightly and increase unemployment ever so slightly. Which is important because overly high wages, artificially high wages, and low unemployment, if we can find you, there you are. Yep, we're down to 0 again. That's what's driving the whole labor shortage. We have too many jobs and not enough people. Again. Oy, okay. You know one thing we may want to do? I'm not going to do it right now, but what we may want to do pretty soon is actually try to increase our industrial automation so that we're actually more effective with less people, because we're having a hard time keeping up with this. But anyway. Alright, so that's done. So we're going to change up the work visas. And one thing that I wanted to do that I saw and I thought it looked kind of cool, but it also sort of fits with the libertarian-ish theme is it under Law and Order? Yes, it is. Decentralization. By the way, I've seen people asking for the purge. No, I'm not going to do the purge. At least not in this particular playthrough. Maybe in a future one. We'll see. Decentralization. The national government can devolve power to provincial governments. So, the United States, for example, is a federal republic. The federal government has certain roles and certain powers, but the state governments underneath, all 50 states within the United States, have their own responsibilities and power as well. The idea of decentralization is transferring more power from the federal government to the more localized states. The idea, of course, behind that is that whereas the federal government can only hand out one-size-fits-all policies and is not able to effectively respond to the different needs of people who live in, let's say, California versus Louisiana versus North Dakota, well, the states, however, are better equipped to respond to the needs of their local communities. That's the idea. It empowers local government instead. So that's what we're going to go for with decentralization. But what does this do exactly? Oh, it actually reduces racial tension a lot, too. In a federation, the provinces make their own laws. In a confederation, the national government barely has any power at all. Nations with many ethnic groups are usually decentralized to avoid racial conflict. Okay. So we can start with county councils and home rule. Exactly what those mean or look like, I'm not too sure. Cooperative, I'm going to assume federalism, which is probably a cooperation between the federal government and the states. Dual federalism. What is that? Dual federalism, is that equal power between the two? I'm not too sure. And then a confederation, which is more power to the states and a very small federal government. I think a lot of people forget, by the way, did you know that the United States actually tried to set up basically a form of confederation before we actually became a federal republic? A lot of people think of the Confederacy in the United States during the Civil War, and that certainly is a thing. But there was a time before the United States Constitution was properly drafted where there was a big debate as to whether or not we should have some federal government or whether or not the states should be completely autonomous, basically a kind of a loose alliance of states instead, in a confederation of sorts. It didn't work out super duper well for a few reasons. You're welcome to read up on that if that interests you, but yeah, then we eventually reformed to a federal republic, despite opposition from many. We're going to go for something like this, and I'm going to keep it relatively low. I actually am not convinced that this is super duper worth it. I mean, it might be. What if we go for like, I don't know, what if we go for like 2.3 billion? It's actually going to increase our local government a little bit. Not as much as I think I expected, considering this is, you know, freaking decentralization. It reduces Patriot membership quite a bit, which is interesting. I guess they like to have a good, strong central leadership structure? I don't know. Liberals like it. Ethnic minority membership goes up. Not sure how that happens. I guess they just get reclassified. Or is there sort of an implication that by decentralizing the government and allowing states kind of govern themselves, there's going to be sort of a natural segregation of sorts where people kind of flock together under their own states? I'm not sure. Now, either way, that's going to be interesting. But what does local government do for us? It's actually getting quite high, believe it or not. Wow, community policing is infecting that way more than I think I was expecting. Holy crap. That's, it's pretty substantial right there, guys. Okay. Wow. Anyway, but what does it do for us? Let's see. It reduces high earnings, which is not super duper important. Right now, it's actually better than it was when I first started the campaign. But so far, it only seems to impact car usage, air travel, and technology, which is not very substantial, so that doesn't seem to be too important. It is going to reduce it a little bit more, but meh. Productivity goes down, which is interesting. I guess there's the idea that centralization is more efficient, which is not necessarily true, but sometimes it is. It depends a lot on the context. Private housing goes down. I'm not sure how that works. Education and health goes up, poverty goes down. Again, coming back to the argument that localized governments are better able to spend money in the places that need it, as opposed to a federal government which is not able to respond to the needs of so many diverse groups. Bus usage goes up, liberalism goes up, and the environment slightly improves. Huh. Okay, I kind of like it. Let's move on. Oh, goody! So black market is at an end, obesity is at an end, and sexism is at an end. Huzzah for the libertarian government! But corruption has come back. Boo. Alright, we'll have to deal with that. A cashless economy. Really? As electronic payments become more established, security experts suggest us to remove cash handling from welfare offices, public transportation, and other government services. Shopkeepers are likely to follow. Senior citizens want to keep the cash economy, though. We could keep it. Cash money is, by definition, legal tender. And many senior citizens are electronically illiterate. Electronic systems are fragile, so we need cash as a backup for our economic system. Or eliminate it. Credit cards are safer. They will help us getting rid of robberies and black markets. Ooh! Is this going to help me reduce the black market? That sounds good. Although I do sort of question a little bit whether or not credit cards are safer. I mean, is that necessarily true? I definitely think of the cybersecurity risks of electronic banking and electronic cards and stuff like that. There definitely is pretty high risk for some rather severe consequences. I don't know if you could argue that it's worse than cash. I'm not sure if that's true. Either way, you know what? Let's go ahead and eliminate cash handling. Although if I were going proper libertarian, I think I would have to go back to the gold standard. Ron Paul, everybody. But anyway, yeah. Okay. I've never seen that event before. That sounds pretty fun. Now what else do we want to do? You know what? We're making a huge surplus of money. Almost 70 billion crowns per quarter right now. We have 300 billion crowns in reserves. I think we need to reduce the tax. If I had to reduce the tax, what would it be? Well, let's not do the high bracket income tax. Not right now. Not really a priority for me. Equality. You know, equality is going down ever since we introduced the flat tax. What if we instead targeted the sales tax? Yes, there you are. Sales tax, of course, is considered by many to be a regressive tax. That is to say, it does not take into account the ability to pay. So in that sense, I suppose it's very similar to the flat income tax. It's not progressive. The poor person who spends their money will get taxed just like the rich person who spends their money. That's sort of how the sales tax is going to work. It affects everybody. That said, we just don't really like taxation that much. We're going to reduce it down a lot. Let's say to 5%, and this is going to reduce my income by about 40 billion crowns, but this will do a lot to put money back in the hands of the poor and the middle class especially, since they're the ones who go out and buy your everyday items a lot, whereas the rich... I don't know. The rich supposedly do the same thing, but I guess they don't spend at the same rate. I don't know. I don't know either way. The point is, though, this is going to help put a lot of money back in the hands of the average Swede, which I think is going to be good. It also will increase our equality quite a bit and offset some of the damage that was done to income inequality by the flat tax. So I'm eager to see if that helps us at all as well. Maybe it'll help boost our GDP a little bit, and even though we are going to get rid of a huge part of our surplus, it will come right back. We'll find out. Don't forget, we still have a lot of potential growth in the GDP, so, I mean, there's a lot of room to make a heck of a lot more money. Now, as far as corruption, let's see, we've done a fair bit to try and reduce it, especially through education. High wages, education, decentralization. Oh, good! We actually already are doing that. I didn't even realize that was going to impact corruption directly. Well, that's good. How very convenient. I like that a lot. I do like that. But what else? Jury trials, we did already adjust. Legal aid, did we do that? Well, it's already pretty high. We could increase this a little bit to maximum. This increases our liberalism membership a little bit more, which is already maxed out, but it never hurts to have more, right? Corruption does go down by another almost 1.5%. Equality a tiny bit as well. It's not going to do a lot for me. Crime even goes up slightly. Under most circumstances, I would say this probably isn't worth it, but a little bit more, reducing corruption a tiny bit by 1.5%. I mean, every little bit counts, right? We're probably never going to be able to get completely get rid of corruption because you have to already go down to 0 all the way to get to that stop trigger. There will always be some risk of corruption, but right now it's pretty darn low, and we want to keep it that way as long as possible. As far as the rest of my points, I'm going to spend them all... You know what? No. You know what? I actually know what I want to spend them on. It would be considered a little controversial by some, and it's going to cost me a lot of political capital, but let's give it a shot. Hang on. Uh-oh. Tax evasion. What? I have a flat tax. That shouldn't have happened. How did it go up? You've got to be kidding me. Earned income tax credit. Oh, it's the local government. I was going to say, we got rid of the progressive income tax. That shouldn't be making this worse. The flat income tax is doing nothing to hurt me, but no. We do have tax evasion, and it has to do with the fact that we have too much local government. Exactly how does that work there? I'm not sure. I guess we're relying a little bit too much on the local government to collect those taxes in some way. Huh. If that's the case, then maybe the issue is that we actually need to reduce community policing a little bit. Possibly. I think we have to. I didn't realize that community policing was really going to have this much of an effect. Like, I should have realized, but 65% from one policy, that's monstrous. Granted, it is going to reduce our liberalism a little bit, but we did just do jury trials and stuff, so that's okay. Let's reduce it down to, let's say like 1.4 billion. We'll be okay as far as our voter demographics, just fine. Racial tension won't be an issue. Crime and violent crime I'm not worried about. This should reduce our local government quite a bit, which hopefully will be enough to help us. Should court judges wear dresses? Court dress. Conservatives think that judges should wear traditional court dress during session with a wig, robe, and bands. Liberals argue that a 2- or 3-piece business suit is sufficient. Shall we legislate a dress code for judges? Really? We have tax evasion happening, and this is our primary concern? Okay. Well, I'm not really sure what to think about this. I think in the United States we do have some court dress, I think, technically, but it's not quite as rigid as it is in, say, Europe. Actually, when I went to Paris a few months back, we went to the Palace of Justice, just across the way from Notre Dame, and yes, sure enough, there were judges with the black robes, and I think they were even wearing wigs. And I was like, oh my god, that's hilarious. I don't know if people will take judges more seriously if they wear a regular suit. There's something intimidating about the big dress, unless you're saying it's silly. Yeah, they are. It looks like a Halloween costume. You know what? For kicks and giggles, I'm going to require the court dress. We're not going to change it. I don't think it makes a big difference, but we're going to do it anyway. Yeah, my surplus has gone down quite a bit, but the GDP is still climbing. Climbing quite a bit, in fact. Well. Where are you? There you are. Huh, look at that. Look at us go. Oh, we're improving a lot of Sweden big time. Big time. All right. So the big thing that I wanted to work on here is actually to combat dementia. We have not been doing much in the way of dementia thus far. I don't think that realistically we're going to be able to increase religious membership very much at all, if at all. It's already so low, like what is there to do, really? Public libraries we already have. I'm not going to do the electronic prisoner tagging. That's too controversial. And I'm certainly not going to do genetic engineering eugenics. So, what we're going to go for actually is some stem cell research. Since we don't have a lot of religious people already anyway, let's do it. Stem cell research. 45 political capital, it's not going to cost me too much. We're taking stem cells from discarded human embryos, which is going to very much upset the conservatives. However, it greatly increases private healthcare, which I actually didn't know that it does. I guess our funding is going to a lot of private research firms or something, but it's going to reduce our dementia by 32%, and health goes up a little bit. So if there are pretty much no religious people in all of Sweden, then the only downside really is that we're upsetting some conservatives. That's it. Doesn't even cost much. I think we kind of have to do it, and it should work pretty well for us overall. Okay, anything else we want to do right now? Let's see. No, let's move on to the next turn, I think, and see where the chips have fallen. I think pretty soon now we actually should go for the basic income. Now that I've kind of seen where our economy is going, I think we can. Hey, drug addiction's come to an end! What? What happened? Yes! Yes! Drug addiction is gone! I'm guessing it has a lot to do with the fact that we are wealthier and not poor, because I think that poverty was driving part of the drug addiction, so that's certainly a thing. It's gone! Huzzah! Uh-oh. Sexual predators. Oh. This, might seem somewhat relevant, in Sweden now. A gang of ruthless sexual offenders have committed several atrocious crimes against children. The media indulge in detailed reports. Parents are terrified and the public cries for harsher treatment. So liberalism membership goes down a fair bit, because a lot of people become more conservative because they want more law and order to punish those people. Bjorn, however you pronounce that, is apparently not happy with me. Probably because I upset the religious that much, and he is sympathetic to the religious, right? What happened to my people? I know you're here. Why are you hiding from me? No one showed up to work today, except for Annika, Anton, and Bjorn. Bjorn, the self-employed religious sympathizer, who I am going to fire. Goodbye. Of course, that does lower the political capital generation of everybody when you do that, but overall, if we can find someone at least a little bit better, I think that it is worth it. Hello, a public services minister who's liberal capitalist. Yes, we're going to hire Clara Sandberg. There we go. That's going to make our cabinet a heck of a lot more effective. I never liked Bjorn anyway. Bjorn was a hindrance to us all. All right, you know what? We have enough money. I say that we go for the basic income. Let's do it. Let's finally round off that negative income tax-ish kind of idea that I had. So we're going to go for it. This will greatly increase the poor and middle earnings. Liberals love it. The poor love it. Conservatives don't like it, but guess what? Just like the religious, there are no conservatives in our Sweden, so that's no concern. Unemployment goes way up and productivity goes down. The working week actually goes down too. Private schools go way up, equality goes up. So we don't want to go to quite this level. This is a little bit too much to spend, and some of these impacts are a little bit too harsh. A little bit more unemployment is going to be good to help the labor shortage and improve the economy overall. Productivity, not so much. A little bit less of a working week can be okay in some respects and not in others. Private schools is good, though. And also, I really like the idea that the poor and middle earnings are going way up. The idea, of course, being that, hey, the government is giving you something for nothing. Oh, no, you don't need to work. Well, if we keep it low enough, people will still need to work, but they have some sort of guaranteed safety net when it comes to a basic income. At least that's the idea behind this whole negative income tax. Let's make it pretty small. We're going to make it about 20 billion. Reason being, this is not going to hurt the productivity too much, right? If we go to about here, yeah, this seems okay. So if we go to about 20 billion, productivity only goes down by 1.7%, the working week in a pretty similar situation. Unemployment does go up by about 10%, it says, which is a lot. We need to be concerned about that, but I think we might be okay. Private schools going up and equality goes up as well. And just like that, we have finally realized our dream of having the negative income tax. Or at least as close as I'm able to get to it in this game. Alright, now the question is to see exactly how well it works. You know what, I wasn't planning on this, but we're going to do one more thing. We're going to also add in a welfare saving plan. right? Rather than just get rid of all welfare right now, we're going to have something else. So now this is a very interesting idea to me. It basically creates a tax-free savings account for people to save some of their money for the rare event, or, you know, maybe not rare, but undesirable event where they get sick or they lose a job or something like that, a gap year, old age. Basically, rather than have the state pay for our welfare, we create a tax-free savings account, just like a health savings account, for example, in the United States, for your welfare. That's what it is. It's not a health saving account, it's a welfare saving account. The WSA. It increases personal freedom, which sounds like something that the libertarians would love, instead of the welfare system we have now, but it does nothing for the long time. Long time? You mean long-term unemployed? Because eventually they might run out. That's the fear. But we have a basic income for that, so we'll be okay. More saving means less consumption, which does decrease the GDP slightly, but I'm very eager to see what this will do for us. So trade unionists like it, because they have a bit more security in their jobs, apparently. Middle-income people like it. Poverty goes down by doing this, because people actually save some income. Private pensions goes up, the GDP goes down. We're not going to go too crazy on this. Let's do about 8 billion, actually. This will reduce the GDP by about 1.5%, but private pensions going up will keep people's retirement safe. The middle income will be happy and poverty goes down. I like this idea. Let's give that a shot and see how well it works for us in the final year. We have 11 points left. What do we want to do? Not immigrant welfare. You know, I had talked about doing some more industrial automation, didn't I? Since we already have so much trouble with our labor shortage and not enough people to go around, this actually, having more robotics and more industrial automation will make the production per person basically a little bit better. So it will reduce jobs, yes, because more of them will be taken up by robots, but we already have too many jobs to begin with. So you know what? This is actually pretty good. Trade unionists don't like it. Well, too bad. Industrial automation does go up. Now, I don't quite want to max this out. You don't want to go crazy with robotics, but a little bit of subsidizing here might be good, or at least researching new methods, just to improve our economy's efficiency overall. That might not be so bad. If you guys don't know, let's take a look. Actually, where did I just do this? Is it under economy? I thought it was under economy. Robots. Oh, whatever. Let's go for the industrial automation. Here it is. So. It increases unemployment, yes, because jobs are being taken up by robots. Trade unionists don't like it, but the average productivity of the average person does go up, and the working week goes down. It's one of those rare circumstances. By becoming so efficient and so productive, we actually don't have to work quite as long of a week, quite so many business hours, and still do more as a result. The real downside of industrial automation is the unemployment. That's the thing you have to watch for. Well, the reason you usually don't want to max it out. But considering Sweden has such a low population that's having so much trouble with the labor shortage to begin with, and it's still minimum unemployment, by the way, yeah, I think this is a good thing to get rid of. Tax evasion concerns me a fair bit. We're going to have to find a way to deal with that. I am hopeful that by reducing our local government, which is going way down, we are going to see in the next couple of turns that the tax evasion starts to go away. I'm really surprised how strong this is. I had no idea that local government was that effective. One of the big reasons to go to the flat tax was to avoid this exact situation, and yet we got it anyway. Now that's irony for you. Thank you all very much for watching. I do hope that you enjoyed. Next video will be the final year before the next election. Be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment with your suggestions, and subscribe if you want to see it. And I, as always, will see you guys next time.